You ever just have one of those days where everything goes sideways and it's totally not your fault? Yeah, that was me. You probably think you know the story already, right? Oh, she messed up her gear. Typical, but you don't know the half of it. My name is Bethany. I'm 30, and I've been out here in places like Afghanistan long enough to know that sometimes things just happen. And usually, it's because someone else isn't pulling their weight. This whole thing, it started with Michael, my ex. Always drama with him, even halfway across the world. He found a way to screw up my life. So, we were getting ready for a night patrol, a pretty standard one, or so they said. Just to sweep through some villages outside our FOB, looking for, well, you know, bad guys. It was hot, even at night, and the air was thick with dust. Everyone was geared up, doing their last-minute checks on weapons, comms, NVGs, night vision goggles. For those of you who aren't in the know, I was trying to ignore the buzzing in my pocket. It was Michael, blowing up my Signal app. Again, he just wouldn't quit. He was always demanding transparency from me, asking where I was, what I was doing. But then he'd get all defensive if I asked him the same stuff. Total double standards. Our squad leader, Sergeant Miller, was barking orders. He was this big, burly guy, all about tradition and doing things by the book. An old school provider type. He probably thought women shouldn't even be out there, much less in his squad. He kept yelling about pre-mission integrity and checking your damn gear. I heard him, sure, but I was focused on Michael's latest tantrum. He was accusing me of flirting with some guy back home. Can you believe it? I'm in a war zone, risking my life, and he's worried about some imaginary dude. It was infuriating. I just needed to shut him down. 100% comms check. Miller roared. NVG battery check. Weapon status. Everyone was clicking and clacking, making sure everything was good to go. I just tapped my NVGs. They felt secure. They worked fine last time. I mean, how often do batteries just die without warning? Rarely. Plus. I figured if they were low, someone else would have spares. It wasn't my sole responsibility, right? I was already carrying enough weight. Literally, with all my gear, I didn't need to add a whole bag of spare batteries. Effort minimizer. That's what they'd call me, I guess. But honestly, I was doing my best, and they just made it worse with all their nitpicking. I was furiously typing back to Michael on Signal. Are you serious right now? I'm about to go out on patrol. This is not the time. His response popped up instantly. Oh, so now you're too busy for me? Is that what this is? You're just trying to shut me down because you know I'm right. See, always trying to gaslight me, make me question my own perceptions and memory. Like I was making up his jealousy. My fingers flew over the keyboard. I didn't have time for this. He was such a drama queen. It was like he used weaponized insecurities against me, knowing I hated being accused of lying. Squad, mount up, Miller bellowed, and the guy started moving towards the Humvees. I shoved my phone in my cargo pocket, just barely getting off one last message. We'll talk about this later, when I'm not about to get shot at. I climbed into the Humvee, the heavy door clanging shut. It was packed, sweaty bodies, the smell of dust and diesel. Our driver, Jessen, was a quiet guy, checked out, usually just kept to himself, emotionally distant. He probably thought I was a mess, but he never said anything. The other guys in the back were laughing, talking smack. I just sat there, fuming, replaying Michael's texts in my head. This was his fault. His constant drama was distracting me from everything. It's not my fault my attention was elsewhere. It was a moving goalpost situation. He kept changing expectations without communicating them, making me feel like I was always failing. We rolled out. The desert at night is weird. Everything is dark. But through the NVGs, it's all green and eerie. You see shapes, shadows, things that aren't really there. The hum of the engine, the vibrations, it all just makes you feel isolated. I had my NVGs on, scanning the terrain. Everything seemed fine. We drove for maybe 20 minutes, past some mud brick huts and fields. The mission was to check out a specific compound, rumored to be a meeting place. Standard stuff. Suddenly, the lead Humvee slammed on its brakes. We all lurched forward. Contact. Contact. Northwest. Someone yelled over the comms. My heart hammered. This was it. The real deal. I focused, trying to get a clearer picture through my NVGs. I could see muzzle flashes, little green streaks in the distance. And then it happened. My NVGs flickered once, twice, and then nothing. Just black. Complete, utter darkness. Panic flared in my chest. No, 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 no. I whispered. I ripped them off my helmet, shook them, slapped them. Nothing. They were dead. Stone cold dead. My stomach dropped. I probably should have seen this coming. But who checks batteries for every single thing every single time? It's not realistic. Riley, you good? Sergeant Miller's voice came over the comms, sharp and urgent. What are you seeing? My NVGs are dead, I yelled, my voice a little higher than I intended. I can't see anything. Silence for a second. Then Miller's annoyed grunt. Are you serious? You didn't check your batteries. I don't know. They just died. I snapped back. It wasn't my fault they were faulty. It was almost like he was trying to use passive-aggressive communication, with subtle digs disguised as jokes about my equipment. Gunfire erupted around us. We were taking heavy fire. The enemy was closer than I thought. Without my NVGs, I was completely blind in the pitch black. I could hear the shots, the impacts on the Humvee, the shouts of my squad, but I couldn't see a thing. It was terrifying. I fumbled for my rifle, trying to point it in the general direction of the noise. What was I supposed to do? Shoot wildly into the darkness. Riley, get down. Get down, someone screamed. I instinctively ducked, pressing myself against the side of the Humvee. I could hear the distinct whiz of bullets flying past. My mind was racing. This was bad. Really bad. I was useless. I was a sitting duck. This was all Michael's fault. If he hadn't been so insistent, so needy, I would have had time to do a proper check. He was such a relationship hostage taker, always threatening to break up during minor disagreements. And it bled into everything. Miller was yelling into his mic. I need a light. Someone get a freaking light on Riley. She's blind. A momentary beam of white light, an IR strobe, flickered on my helmet, but it just made my eyes sting and barely helped in the darkness. We're taking heavy fire, another voice shouted. They're trying to flank us. Then I felt a hand on my shoulder. It was Jensen. The driver, he had unbuckled himself, risking his own life to reach me. Stay here. I'm coming to get you, he muttered, his voice surprisingly calm. He dragged me out of my seat, pulling me towards the back of the Humvee. I could hear him swearing under his breath, but not at me. It was just frustration. We scrambled out of the Humvee, still under fire. He was trying to get me behind some cover. I tripped, falling hard. My knee screamed in pain. Ow, my knee. Get up. Riley, we have to move, Jensen urged, trying to pull me up. He was being a too nice guy, over-accommodating, always avoiding conflict. He never called me out directly. I struggled to my feet, limping. I can't see. I can't do anything. I felt tears welling up, but I held them back. I refused to let them see me cry. That was just weaponized vulnerability they could use against me. Miller's voice was back on the comms, furious. Riley's compromised. I need a team to extract her. Now. The idea of being extracted felt humiliating, like I was a liability between us. I wanted to scream. I wanted to just disappear. This whole situation was turning into my worst nightmare. A couple of other guys from the squad, O'Malley and Finn, broke off from the firefight, laying down suppressive fire as they moved towards me and Jensen. They were exposed, putting themselves in harm's way because of my dead NVGs. O'Malley. He was always a little full of himself, a reformed wild boy who used to have issues but was now overcorrecting, trying to be the perfect soldier. He probably loved this, getting to be the hero. They reached us, dragging me towards the rear of our position. The gunfire was still intense. I could hear screams now, not ours, but not friendly either. We got her. Sergeant O'Malley yelled into his radio. Extracting now. I was practically carried, my knee throbbing, my pride aching even more. We got back to the Humvee, and they practically shoved me back inside. I sat there, blind and useless, while the rest of my squad was still fighting in the dark. It was the longest few minutes of my life. The firing eventually died down. A dust-off was called in for some of the enemy casualties, and for one of our own guys who took a hit. Sergeant Miller, he got shot in the leg. Not fatal, but enough to take him out of commission for a while. They said it was because he was exposed, trying to direct fire and coordinate my extraction. My fault. No, he should have been more careful. He should have known better than to put himself in that position. He's the leader. He should know how to delegate. Back at the phobie, the air was thick with tension. Miller was already in the aid station. I limped my way to the squad room. No one looked at me. No one said a word. It was worse than yelling. It was that silent judgment, that knowledge that I had messed up. But I didn't mess up. I was distracted. And who distracted me? Michael. Always Michael. The next day, it was formal. I had to face the CO, Major Davies. He was the burnt-out type, exhausted, used to trying but had given up. His eyes just looked tired. Specialist Riley, he said, his voice flat. Your NVGs failed mid-contact. Sergeant Miller was wounded while attempting to secure your extraction. This unit was compromised due to your inability to maintain mission-essential equipment. Did you perform your pre-mission checks, sir? I started trying to keep my voice steady. I believe my equipment was functional. The batteries must have had a fault. And I was dealing with a personal issue right before we deployed. It was a moment of convenience, apologist for sure. I only apologized when it benefited me. He just stared at me. A personal issue? Specialist. Do you understand the gravity of this? You put your squad at risk. You put Sergeant Miller in the aid station. All because you couldn't be bothered to swap out batteries. Sir, I always check my gear. This was just an anomaly, and Michael was really upset. I had to respond. I could hear the desperation in my voice. He was trying to invalidate my feelings. Tell me it's not that serious. But it was serious to me. He rubbed his temples. This isn't a dating service. Specialist, this is a combat zone. You have a duty to your team, to your unit, to yourself. You failed that duty. I was doing my best. Sir, I was just trying to manage everything. I felt like crying, but I wouldn't let him see it. This was an emotional manipulation tactic, using tears to avoid addressing the real issue. My public persona, always supportive in front of friends, but critical when alone, was crumbling. The fallout was ugly. They put me on desk duty, processing paperwork, a total slap in the face. Then they started an investigation, not just into the NVG incident, but into my overall conduct. They looked at my phone, my texts. Guess what they found? All those arguments with Michael, all those times he'd text me during briefings, during patrols, all those times I was distracted. It was a complete privacy invasion. They checked my devices while guarding their own secrets. The ultimate karma, not being kicked out. Though that happened too. A less than honorable discharge. It wasn't even being blacklisted from pretty much any decent job because of my record, which absolutely messed up my financial life. I'd always just expected guys to cover expenses while I kept my money separate. And now I had to actually work for things. The worst part was seeing my story, my personal drama, plastered all over these veteran TikTok accounts and military wife groups. They got hold of the investigation details, probably from some bitter bitch in the office. They called me Signal Sally, the girl who blinded her squad. They posted my pictures, my name, everything, my validation-seeking posts, where I'd show off relationship highlights while ignoring real problems, were twisted and mocked. My entire reputation, everything I thought I was gone. It was a complete social collapse. People I'd never met were tearing me apart online, twisting my words, making me out to be a monster. Michael, of course, just disappeared. He got scared when the news hit, said he couldn't deal with the drama. He just moved to Dallas, found some new girl. Probably one of those easy ones who never asks for anything. I saw their posts on Facebook. He looked happy. He moved on with someone genuinely loving. And I was left to watch. That's relationship devastation. He got everything he wanted, and I got nothing. It's a total reversal of fortune. I'm the one suffering, while he gets to be happy. Now I'm back home, barely scraping by. My parents try to be supportive, but I can tell they're disappointed. My old friends from the military, they don't return my calls. They don't want anything to do with me. I see them online, still together, still deploying, still living their lives. And me, I'm alone, but it's not my fault. It's Michael's fault for being so needy. It's the military's fault for not supporting me, for always underestimating me. If I was a man, none of this would have happened. They would have just patched up Miller and moved on. But because it was me, they had to make an example. I was doing my best, and they just made it worse. I don't regret what I did. I just regret that it all went public and ruined my life. I don't care about any of them anymore. They all deserve what they get.